make my cock explode now?
The Fallout TV show is the kind of media that the more you watch, the less sense it will make. It's fascinating how it gradually declines with each episode, and once you reach the end, there will be even more questions than answers. It doesn't make it any better that they are mostly mystery boxes of the J.J. Abrams School of Writing.
What are stories but mystery boxes?
Last time, I tried to dissect a show made by people who didn't care about it and only wanted to force down their ideas while masquerading as something else.
Welcome to the ads, mother!
This time, it's different. Because the people working on the show clearly didn't care and only wanted to force down their own ideas while being endorsed by the current creators, and instead of an adaptation, it's a sequel?
That is a very small drop in a very, very large bucket of drugs.
This was already a strange idea to begin with, and to my surprise there was some genuine effort in this project, easy enough to trick a prime normal audience.
Wonderfully humorous. The only place you're going is the vat.
Their idea of a suitable adaptation consists of wiping out everything to make place for their ideas. Very familiar to Bethesda's vision of the East Coast. Something the showrunner took most of his inspiration from, and honestly it seemed to be limited to that.
While there's canon here, there's no canonical version of each of the games. They're different for everyone who played them.
So, let's see what's this all about. The story begins with... oh, it's already over. My conclusion is this show was a 10 out of 10. Nice April Fool's joke, Todd Howard. I really bought it. Oh no, never mind. There's still an hour and a half left. This shit. The show is built around three main characters. The first one, which is Cooper, but we don't really call him like that. We see him perform merely minutes before the bombs detonate? I can't really make out if they are falling in this footage. Almost looks like they detonate on sight. I'm gonna roll with the bombs falling for now. The story does a lot of back and forth between these scenes to reflect on the times before the bombs fell, which is 2077, and the present timeline, which is 2296. Not the most crucial information, but it will come in handy soon enough. We fast forward to the current day with our female lead, Lucy. She's your run-of-the-mill Fallout protagonist material. A jack of all trades, popular with her community, and basically a chosen one since her father is the overseer of this vault. A very basic setup, but it's nothing bad. It doesn't offend anyone, at least so far.
I hereby submit my application to the council to participate in the triennial trade with Vault 32.
It doesn't take a few minutes for it to introduce entirely new concepts, such as interconnected vaults, where three vaults are connected in the shape of a triangle. And why is that? In this case, it happens so people can mate from other neighboring vaults. Exactly what Lucy is doing right now. That's kind of strange when you know these vaults are primarily designed to be on their own, but Bethesda hasn't been smart enough with the vault population, so it has been getting lower with each entry. And speaking of preventing inbreeding, the show felt the need to share this intimate information about our amazing protagonist, that she had 10 years of cousin stuff.
After 10 years of cousin stuff, I'm definitely excited for the real thing.
Well, that didn't take too long.
10 years of cousin stuff? Made you a fucking cousin.
We're not even 10 minutes in and it already hits you with this garbage.
Gosh, you look just like your mother.
I wish she was here.
Me too.
We also get to know that Lucy's mom is gone, but it sure would be a great thing if she could still be here.
Were you scared when you married Mom?
Me? Terrified.
Obvious foreshadowing to something in the future, but I hope they're not keeping it for the last episode. So Lucy gets married to this guy, and all the guests from Vault 32 are acting odd and look like the raiders you would see in the video games. I'm sure this is just a coincidence, but after the groom wipes his dick in the curtain, Lucy has received the sudden inspiration from our Lord Jesus Christ and checks her Pip-Boy to see that his husband's semen is irradiated.
You're from the surface.
Listen, I can't really put up with this nonsense. How come none of the people who greeted these weirdos noticed the Geiger counter making noises? Every step the show takes makes a previous fuck up retroactively even worse. A fight breaks out, Lucy manages to grab the most useless weapon from the armory, and somehow they manage to beat the raiders.
I'm Pickle Rick!
Until the evil woman reveals herself.
I think I know who you are.
But do they know who they are? They are the product, one of life's tricky little choices.
So she gets abducted and they piss off while they leave a bomb behind.
A bomb!
Maybe you should do what you do best, run and hide.
While this was already a bad premise, I must ask something further on how long did these raiders stay on Vault 32? If they literally came to abduct the Overseer, how did they know someone from Vault 33 just happens to be open to get married from the neighboring vault? What if Lucy happens to want more cousin time instead? They could be hanging around this garbage dump for months or even years.
We send a search party to the surface to find my dad.
We're all hurting right now. That means not opening any of our doors.
Or whatever. This gives a perfect opportunity for our vault dweller to smell some fresh radiated air to search for Daddy. Is this Fallout 3? They either know a lot of these games or they had an intern place these Easter eggs in the show, or maybe they actually went for the game files. Because they did 3D print a lot of Fallout files to accurately return the feel of the video games. Too bad they didn't print out any of the wiki articles. If that's the Santa Monica Pier, then how come nobody bothered the vault until now? Vault 33 is literally in the open, and if that's the same location I'm thinking of, then that means this is the boneyard.
Huh?
How come the master never found this?
But it cannot be.
The entrance is in plain sight. It isn't hidden under rubble or part of any structure that would hide it. And where's the entrance to 32 and 31? Moldaver had to use something else to get inside. The Overseer has a little alert when someone tries to open the vaults, but somehow this slipped by? We change to our final protagonist, Maximus. He's one of the initiates to the Brotherhood of Steel.
Aspirant Maximus.
I mean aspirants. Who now trains their soldiers in the wide open?
Come on. Well, shit isn't going anywhere.
Is this the same Brotherhood of Steel chapter that had to go into hiding because the NCR was beating their asses so hard? So this is the East Coast faction? Because they have the Pridwin here. Do they have more of these machines? So what in the world happened with the California chapter? I guess 15 years was enough for them to die out.
What kind of model is that?
It's the T60.
Maximus has a hard time adjusting to this life, and it doesn't make it any easier that he has a short-haired woman as his sidekick, or guy?
Imagine getting to put on one of those every day.
The Brotherhood must have found the 2020's hiring material, and they are playing b-ball with bricks. There are basketballs in Fallout, why would you do this shit? Not surprisingly, he's the least likable of the three. He's your average Joe, aspires for greatness, but doesn't stand out in the slightest. In fact, he gets jealous over his buddy getting promoted, which then turns into being blamed for doing a prank on his transsexual friend. Wait, what? Then he gets interrogated by the leadership, which is a long and wasteful scene. It goes on for 5 minutes just so one of the lead characters can be challenged, or so I hoped. All he had for his own defense are more hibbity-jibbity squirrel words.
I understand you're a friend of Aspirant Dane.
Yes.
You're aware of their injury.
Yes.
Do you know who did it?
No.
And of course, because of the dumbness, he admits he wanted this to happen.
I wanted it to happen, is that wrong?
Yes.
While I understood the source of his jealousy, this is outright psychotic. Maximus ends up making the promises to the Brotherhood that are so empty, even a public school teacher could see through them. And somehow this convinces the other, and he rewards Max by making him Titus's new squire.
Good boy. You will be Knight Titus' new squire.
My friend Hawke made the perfect observation by comparing him to Arnold Rimmer from Red Dwarf.
I picked up the dice and threw 2 6s.
He's a cowardly, average person who takes advantage of the situation whenever it fits him, and he truly doesn't care about the cause.
Don't you see? The deranged menace that once threatened this world is vanquished.
No, it isn't, pal. You're still here.
He just wants that promotion, all the cool flashy things that come with it, but none of the responsibilities.
Well, I don't know about the enemy, but you certainly scare the hell out of me.
And finally, we're back to the character from the beginning of the episode, but now he's under a new name, that is, the Ghoul. Almost every single human was left outside and somehow, through a miracle, managed to survive the radiation was turned into a ghoul. You can't just go on and name him like that. There could be millions of them.
How do we know he's not feral?
A feral ghoul can't abide a chicken.
Whatever, he gets up, receives the mission and carries on. And that was the first episode. I will not cover all the other ones to the same detail because the show doesn't care either. The main plot is Vault 33 got attacked and they were obviously after the Overseer. Moldaver had some kind of connection with him. Now, instead of a story that continues to develop these plots, we instead need to sit through a cowardly Brotherhood of Steel soldier along with his incompetent faction fooling around in the wasteland. an enclave scientist man that literally becomes the MacGuffin of the show.
Bring me to Moldaver. Just my head.
And a lot of poor attempts at comedy.
Goosey McLean.
Oh, no, it's Lucy.
Nope. It says Goosey.
It's bad. Normally by this time you've got your introduction to the game and you're on your way to solve the main quest. Here we take a giant detour for the purpose of introducing a new audience to a diet version of Fallout. What a Fallout show needs is good action, a story that's easy to follow, and likable characters. So far only one of the criteria has happened, and even that is kind of underwhelming.
Change plans, I guess.
Lucy needs to find her dad, most importantly to ask him why everyone at Vault 33 is severely incompetent and governing themselves. The show from this point will split between the three protagonists and Lucy's brother with the biggest nose in the wasteland. We still get to see what's happening at Vault 33 through Norm's perspective, for the most part. This slows down the pacing immensely, while the other three don't really put up much entertainment either. Lucy's first day on the surface is rather deserted. Seeing how it was indeed Santa Monica Pier she emerged from, you would think there would be plenty of people around the area, but it looks deserted. This is the boneyard we're talking about, the remains of the city of Los Angeles. Where could everyone be? To my surprise, the rest of the show feels like this too, and it can't quite tell which part of Fallout it's adapting. Lucy, Maximus, and the Ghoul share a journey in the West Coast that doesn't line up with what we have seen from the games. Starting from episode 2, Lucy goes from a desert to a patch of lush green forest that makes no sense to have environments like this. Later in the story, they encounter a radiated lake with a monster in it and perfectly normal animals, both wild and domesticated, and whatever the hell this is. I'm sure as hell it's not a Brahmin, so it's quite clear they didn't bother with getting the setting right, but how about the characters? It isn't much better. Lucy is our lead protagonist with the usual Vault Vera setting we got used to. She has her share of culture shock for getting her expectations subverted in a Rian Johnson-esque move.
Because the attitude of tossing on the go worked really well.
A bit too much if you ask me. The vaults are primarily used to protect the population and prepare them to repopulate the wasteland. I don't have a problem if they did the same story again. I'm more bothered by how slow Lucy was on taking a hint.
Hello there. My name...
In Fallout 1, no one makes a fuss about it if you're from a vault, because most people you encounter are descendants of some vault.
And why is that?
Well, you see, the idea is, we're going to save America.
Here they use Lucy's naive nature to dunk on her supposedly privileged background, and as such she becomes the show's punching bag.
The vaults were nothing more than a hole in the ground for rich folks to hide in, while the rest of the world burned.
This shows that no matter what kind of good intentions you have, those kind of morals and ethics have no place in a savage environment like this. You will have to compromise. Maximus is the worst character from the trio. I tried really hard to get what they were going for with him, and my best guess is this, why it looks like when DSP tries Fallout.
I'm about to die. Wow.
He has no redeeming qualities. He's an opportunist to the end. He's a victim of a certain event who got accepted by the Brotherhood, and all that is incredibly unlikable. He could easily be the Luke Skywalker of this show. He too suffered from being a know-it-all, edgy young man, but eventually he learned the ropes and got better. Instead, they chose to be all over the place with him. The scene that best illustrates this is when he gets the power armor and goes around the wasteland to try getting used to it. How did he get the power armor? Well, the night he had to company turned out to be a complete jerk and sent Max right into the Owl Guy cave while they were on a mission. The bear made him look silly and he was on the verge of dying from it, if it wasn't for Maximus to intervene. He's incredibly ungrateful and bashes Maximus with threats that he will be punished for this slow reaction. Maximus, even though pledged to protect his knight, decides to take it personally and waits for him to bleed out so he can take the armor.
You don't deserve that armor.
You think you do? They'll kill you for this.
Not if I bring back the target.
What an honest and upright member of the Brotherhood of Steel. Eventually, he encounters two strangers having a fight and decides to stop it in the name of justice, only to turn out he got the wrong guy, which means he was protecting a chicken rapist.
Don't murder me. It's just, the guy was fucking my chickens.
okay?
While Lucy has consistency in her naive thinking, Maximus is the complete opposite. He's chaotic. The writers wanted to do a morally great character, but instead they ended up with a clown.
Speak.
I didn't do it. I did not.
On my first viewing, the ghoul was the most tolerable from the three. Not like it would mean much, and although ghouls are something every Fallout player has been familiar with, Bethesda has started adding a lot of changes since they took over. Of course, this is to be expected from a team with a senior designer / writer who starts rewriting the lore incompetently. Only to walk back on it later. But none of these are over the line the way the show handles it. They have turned this guy into a bitter, apathetic, bulletproof vampire.
I've yet to meet one that can outsmart a bullet.
The ghoul that works as a bulletproof sponge regenerates and needs a little help for his asthma. More on that later. This is a great time to see how well these three people work together in the scene. Is there chemistry? Let's find out. So Lucy is still looking for the evil woman who kidnapped her daddy, but luckily she happens to catch up with the MacGuffin of the series, Scientist Man.
You come from Vault 33. Primary crop is corn. You've been brought up in a meritocracy.
Who appears to know quite a lot about her.
I think I know enough to know you need to go home.
Well, that is reassuring. A person who is qualified to know everything about the Vault experiments gives his honest word that she's better off staying home. I'm sure there's nothing bad happening there.
Or you wouldn't happen to be a doctor, would you?
You know your kind ain't welcome here.
I'm gonna make myself welcome.
This gets interrupted by the ghoul who has come to collect the bounty, and he is all out of cherry tomatoes.
Last night a bounty came in through all 6 agencies.
He's here from the 6 agencies. Who are they? Never explained.
Our mission comes from the highest clerics in the Commonwealth.
Who are the clerics? Not even a word about them. What's Scientist Man's motive? Who knows? Look, there's action! As you can see, the ghoul is invincible. Not a single bullet works against him. They don't slow him down, he doesn't get injured, he's having a great time. Well, I don't. This is exactly what I meant about the show taking too much creative liberties, and so he wins, effortlessly.
I'm going to have to ask you to leave him alone. I acknowledge that I'm...
Small drop drugs.
It seems our heroine met her end, but Man of Steel has something to say.
Knight Titus of the Brotherhood of Steel, stand down or be cut down.
You gotta be fucking kidding me.
What do you think will win? A bulletproof goblin or a trained soldier in power armor? Yeah, it's the ghoul. He gets punched in the stomach and he gets up just fine. The same power armor that can destroy a building with a kick. He effortlessly dispatches Maximus, even gloating about his superior knowledge on the power armor, which he uses against Max.
Well, I guess basic training ain't what it used to be. Rule number 1, read the manual.
In a way, it shows the character earned this experience rather than solely relying on his unmanly advantage. But on the other hand, it makes the engineers of the Brotherhood of Steel look stupid for not noticing a flaw that in over 200 years! That concludes the bell. It's also noteworthy that this is the last scene with all 3 main characters interacting with each other. But oh no, Lucy has vanished along with Scientist Man! But not before the grumpy old lady gave her the coordinates to Moldaver's hideout.
This is where you're gonna find Moldaver. Well, just get to the coordinates.
And there you have it. This is the entire setup of the Fallout show. Lucy wants to find her dad, but to get to her dad, she needs to bring Scientist Man to the evil woman. And the other 2 tags along. Sometimes. What can we take away from this incredibly complex scene? Lucy and Maximus just happen to bump into each other. They don't have anything in common, and they separate as quickly as they have met. And they will reunite 2 episodes later.
Can I ask you a favor?
Okay.
Can you tell me what's happened in the last 200 years?
Terrible choice. The ghoul? An absolute destruction of stakes, and not the rare type. He can single-handedly stop a group of thugs and a trained soldier in power armor without taking a scratch. He progresses the plot, hence why he's the strongest character even with his lack of charisma. And finally, Lucy isn't anything special. She's not too offensive, she doesn't do anything radical, and still keeps to her code of ethics. Even though the show progressively puts her in a situation where she would need to welcome change, yet she's stubborn. Like shortly after the fight in Philly, she needs to decapitate Scientist Man because he's dying, handicap or not.
You see, I've just taken a cyanide pill. Tasted like banana.
Lucy is still thinking if it's the right thing to cut it off. She does it anyway.
Okie dokie.
But remember, she's out of options at this point. It's this or carrying a dead body through the wasteland. Also, the show is taking the strange stance against vault dwellers. Like they live in some kind of paradise and aren't subjected to horrible experiments.
You know what folks up here say about the vaults? Fuck the vaults.
Finite resources or the inhabitants going insane. This is undoubtedly leading to another capitalism bad message sponsored by the biggest company in the world. It will only get worse. As for the rest of the show, it's really just a game of tag until episode 8. Lucy needs to give a head to get her dad.
You wanna have sex?
Maximus needs the head to come back home clean.
Now why did they feel that way, Major? Because they were clean.
And the ghoul needs it for money? Drugs? Goulettes? It isn't clear yet. What I know is that they totally blew the beach episode. Unlike your favorite anime where you have hot women in bikinis, we get a boring fishing episode for a lake monster.
Enjoy your fishing.
Lucy arrives at the lake, gets distracted by a completely normal deer and a post-apocalyptic California, and suddenly a gulper snacks the head away, along with Bambi. Only moments before the ghoul catches up with Lucy.
Hello again.
That's great timing. He tries to use Lucy as bait. She accidentally breaks the ghoul's precious vials.
Oh shit, I'm sorry.
What are those vials? Very important plot items. So much so the ghoul gives up on the MacGuffin and takes Lucy with him on a trip.
My squire, he fell in battle.
Meanwhile, our fearless squire in armor lies about himself, gets himself a new sidekick and starts looking for the MacGuffin as well.
Sure, I will find you. Fuck! Sorry.
They find the same lake and lure out the beast. They have a series of incompetent events, but lo and behold, they manage to overcome this thing. All this was played for laughs, in case people were still keeping up with this. More importantly, will Lucy overcome her oppression? During a failed escape attempt, she had enough and bites off one of his fingers. The same finger that belongs to a previously indestructible ghoul. Okay, a finger for a finger, am I right? No joke, he actually cuts her finger off. And she's taking it awfully well. Are we finally seeing some stakes here? Will she overcome her handicap? Yes, she does. This was all planned out so the ghoul can take Lucy to trade for the drug that prevents him from going feral. Oh, sorry, did I say feral? Yes, the Fallout TV show introduced an inhaler so ghouls wouldn't go feral.
Just one little puff, and I'll be back on my feet. You don't live for it.
Did they think this over? In a post-apocalypse where even water and food is a rare commodity, you introduce a drug that every ghoul needs.
My mom used to...
This isn't like Jet that some junkies will use. No, you have a drug that is essential for the whole species to even function. They needed to nerf this guy, instead they chose the most retarded way to do it.
I've been kidnapped. He's right outside.
I say you've lost a finger. Let's get you taken care of.
Follow me.
Oh, and about Lucy, she gets her new finger, which looks just like her old one, except it looks darker.
My finger transplant was a success.
Of course, she manages to escape from her predicament unscathed, faces the people of this establishment and frees the captured ghouls, except for one.
My name is Martha.
Why did you say that?
Now, what can Lucy do when offered a situation like this? Die instantly. Die slowly while the ghoul is chewing through your insides. Use her gun to defend herself. But to show the ghoul how grown up she is now, that she's wearing a Fallout 1 reference, she gives him the vials and doesn't punish him for the awful treatment.
Golden rule, motherfucker.
Now, I would like you to remember Lucy from this episode. I know this is a little too much to ask, but let's try. She has become accustomed to this awful world, given up on her silly notions that she can play by rules she had learned by being a wall dweller, but she still keeps to her morals. She's certainly experienced some sort of character growth. The real question is, how long will it last?
Later.
This leads us back to Maximus, and as usual, he has been lying.
You ripped that thing inside out, its guts went flying everywhere? That was really special.
Yeah, it was kind of special. Hey, look, before we go back to the base, there's probably something I should tell you.
But ultimately manages to get the mission objective and make friends with his bully.
Yeah, whatever you want.
Actually, it's,
Remember me?
This could be it. He can finally open up to someone and become a better character.
Maximus. We can still be friends.
What did you do? Where's Niatitis?
He's dead. You and I, we just have to get our story straight before we go back.
They're gonna kill you.
Well, I mean, they don't have to find out.
It's the Brotherhood. They'll find out.
Surprisingly to no one, Tedious isn't really enthusiastic about the whole idea that he's associated with a guy who will probably be executed by the Brotherhood for treason. Nevertheless, Max makes a very logical decision. He tries murdering the guy, because returning in his knight's armor after reporting himself being dead and having his replacement vanish as well isn't gonna make him even a little bit suspicious.
I'll fucking kill you, Thaddeus! You should have!
He only manages to break his foot, but Tedious was clever enough to pull out his fusion core, so he's stuck.
Don't leave me in here! I'll kill you! I swear I'll kill you!
Well, in this show. Oh well, Lucy eventually bumps into him and arrives as his savior.
That was you, right? Back in Philly?
Yes, that was me.
It's also a great time to team up these two so they can be tested.
It's weird.
You heard?
No!
Are you trying to fuck us?
Let's see how Lucy and Max handles this situation. Both characters were given a taste of how dangerous the wasteland can be, so it goes without saying Lucy with all her experience isn't gonna revert back to her stupid ideas.
Okay, I think we're all feeling some tension, yeah? So why don't we all take a deep breath?
What the fuck are you talking about?
How about, on the count of 3, we all raise up our arms?
We already said we don't have any weapons!
Could we just give it a try?
And if you thought it's not enough that she didn't get even slightly suspicious about people who look like HIV rejects, see her response after Maximus rightfully puts a bullet in them. And her character has completely reverted back to where she was at the beginning. She survived being threatened by all kinds of things, and she's still surprised that people would resort to violence? Is there nothing in her head screaming, "Weird-looking people in funny clothes equals danger"?
Fiends.
What's a fiend?
People who eat people.
At least Maximus is making a little progress, one of which is a wound that could be a consequence of trusting Lucy to defuse the situation. Will Lucy learn anything from this? Will Maximus be challenged to progress with a new handicap? Don't let your hopes up, this gets resolved exactly as fast as Lucy's finger got reattached.
What happened?
Same thing that always happens.
Wonder if anyone survived.
I did.
So you're next to Ground Zero, where Shady Sands was hit by a nuke. You need to find immediate medical attention. Your only help is an idealistic young woman. If you get attacked now, it can be the end of you. Well, isn't this the right time for them to bump into a hospital in the middle of nowhere that has a secret tunnel leading them to a hidden vault?
Where are we?
It's okay. We'll be all right.
What is this place?
We're in the best place in the world. We're in a vault.
And the tension is gone yet again. Why throw characters at any danger when they are resolved in an almost instant?
Now that right there is Vault 4's 3-foot thick lead casing. Meet the Hawthorns. Lloyd and Cassandra here are both scientists, specializing in the effects of radiation on human DNA.
I just love the fact that these got like tons of black people.
Yes, leading black scientist man of Vault 4.
In a country that's incredibly racist, the civil rights never happened in the Fallout world. There's no unions, there's no stuff like that, and yet the world is exactly like 2024 California. I mean, how amazing is that? What luck, hey? But another franchise that is exactly like the modern world. God, that every single piece of modern media entertainment is all the fucking same. There is no difference. Anything at all. They are all the same. They are all gay communists.
Yeah, it's really lovely to meet you. Thanks for coming out. Okay.
Oh, an Asian person.
I know. I keep laughing about the Asian stuff because they are so desperate not to piss off China. There's concentration camps in the Fallout universe.
Yeah, a lot of them.
In Fallout 4, you can find holotapes where they're separating people out, and they don't care whether if you're actually Chinese or even if you're an Asian American. They just think you're all the same.
We shouldn't be wasting time down here.
You heard the doctor. Now, we're stuck here until you're able to travel.
Oh, nice, they even give them free stuff. This is the episode where Lucy and Maximus encounter another vault untouched by anything around it that also sticks out like a sore thumb.
I love how they're just wide open.
Wide open. Remember when vaults were inside the mountain or like a rocky area?
Yep.
Like deep underground? And to make things worse, it's a vault that was next to Shady Sands, since about half its residents are refugees from the surrounding area, who worship Moldaver through naked blood rituals. Yeah, did I mention there's a blood ritual in Fallout that nobody will talk about afterwards?
The fuck is there?
You tell me.
What is this? The NCR isn't like this. How this is cost. Sorry, I don't know how to like respond to this. I'm watching fucking the weirdest shit ever. This show is so not Fallout, it's unbelievable.
Do you think like your theory that these shows are basically some other projects that the creators just try to pull in some well-known IPs to sell their own stupid ideas?
Yes, I love that. They wanted to make a post-apocalyptic show, and everyone went, no, this will never work. So they went, why won't we make it Fallout? They went, yes, we'll do that. Because this is not Fallout. There's no way this is fucking Fallout. And the best part about it is everybody saying, oh, well, it's canon to the games. I've not seen one single thing that makes it, that is in any of the game canon at all. Every single thing that's even remotely connected is either subverted, changed, or just outright retconned. It's just insane. Like the Vault Boy is called Cooper Howard. What? Based on a guy called Cooper Howard.
A balding man.
With brown hair, and they turn him into a blonde-haired little boy. Yeah, okay. But doesn't look anything like him. It's like, right, okay.
You know what? Like, next season is going to explain the mysterious stranger. I'm calling it right now.
It's going to be hard on her.
What is?
You know, no dogs in the vaults.
Says who?
That's just that's the policy. Yeah, dogs eat meat and efficiency.
That's not really the question, is it? Who decided that there were no dogs in the vault?
Well, I think that is a relatively trivial concern.
I'm not sure that it is. I'm serious. Who makes the rules? Blue jumpsuits. Are those mandatory?
So the bomb falls and you want to know about your wardrobe?
No, I want to know about my freedom. I didn't go to war defending that freedom so that I could live in a cellar under the boot heel of Chairman Bud Askins.
And while you were away at war, I stayed home.
I know you did.
I was checking the mail.
Pause. Press pause. War. Men die. Women most affected. Oh, this show is just the worst thing that's mankind has ever created until the very next thing that mankind creates.
I thought like no one could top the Julia from Cowboy Bebop, but this woman is even more psycho.
So it's quite clear that this scene is set in this woman up to be an absolute lunatic. actually a psychopath?
Yes.
Because I'm pretty certain she's the one who made the rule about no dogs. That's what the scene's insinuating here.
Yes.
Because she won't answer it.
It guarantees us a spot in the vault.
We've got money. We can buy a spot.
One of the good vaults.
What's that supposed to mean?
I'm doing what I can.
Because in fact she's quite high up at Voltec. I'm assuming she's the one who's done it.
But she is one of the people at the meeting, so I think like she is Voltec.
He knows this.
He knows this, yeah.
The character, he's not an idiot. That's the one redeeming quality of this character. And so he's actually right to ask what freedoms we're going to get, because it's quite clear that Voltec are going to take all freedoms away. Her defense of it is, I was at home while you were fighting on the front lines, so that means I had a bit harder. It's like, right, okay.
You had to wash dishes and clean some of the clothes, well...
I mean, there could have been a big spider somewhere. Oh, who knows?
You had to get the new manicure.
I can't, it's got the same as taking heavy mortar fire, energy weapon blasts, bullets, small nuclear arms.
Nuclear.
That's the same.
For your friends dying on the front lines. Well, but what about my wife missing me?
Right, two things that are similar. Washing the dishes and hanging the laundry out, and slowly bleeding to death in the freezing colds of Alaska. Slowly feeling your life slip away as you stare into that snowy blizzard. Chinese man stands over you and opens fire with an AK-47, clean into your sternum, going, die, American pig dog. You know what I'd prefer? The Chinese man killing me. I can't do dishes. Dear God, women. Dear God.
Why didn't she also go to war?
It's because it's the way they want 2024 as well to be. And then women get all these easy jobs and get paid loads and loads of money, are in charge. And men just die. But no, she had to watch the news every day while he was in a foxhole. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Well done, Fallout. Well done. There's no love between these two characters, by the way.
It's so forced. There's absolutely no chemistry between these two.
No.
None.
Not at all.
None. And Maximus has his armor transported here. If only he still had a fusion core. It looks kind of like the one powering this vault.
Excuse me, what the actual fuck are you doing in my house? Oh, you're black. You're here to steal shit.
But this isn't why the location is so infamous. No, not at all. Because that would be this chalkboard that was so controversial, Todd Howard himself had to come out and clarify lore information about it. Yes, you've heard that right. Bethesda patched the TV show after release. Who even does that?
We're careful about the timeline. There might be a little bit of confusion in some places, but everything that happened in the previous games, including New Vegas, happened. We're very careful about that.
I just like the fact that they chose that date, and it's so clear why they chose that date. They'd hoped to remove New Vegas from canon, but too many people complained. And that's the whole thing. And I don't care what people say. Because the arrow points to it and it's happened afterwards. It's like Maximus was at the bombing, so we have to go by what his age is.
He looks like he's 6 or 7.
They'll say 7, right?
Yeah, 7.
So how was he in this in the show? Because that's very important. That's very important. Because this show takes place in 2196, which is 19 years afterwards. 19 years. And the thing is, as well, if it's taken place after 2181, we're shortening the time frame, aren't we?
Yeah, we are.
So say if it takes place in 2282, let's say it's happened in 2282.
Yeah.
Well, that's 50 years, so it's a bit too short for his age. Oh, but it even happens even further after that. Well, if it happens in 2190, what happens? Oh, but that's only 6 years.
Todd was saying that it happens a little bit after the events of New Vegas, so 81, 82, it still wouldn't make sense.
And this is the issue. The only actual date that makes sense in the layout of the show is 2277. So simple maths, it all adds up. But because there's a small little arrow, people have gone, oh, well, actually it takes place afterwards. And one of the best ones ever is they don't know the exact date of when the bomb dropped, because they don't have the ability to keep track of dates.
Everyone else who looks human are just refugees from the NCR.
Yeah,
so
I kind of guess that.
Those people should fucking know when the bombs fell.
No, they don't know. They don't have access to computers. The people who were there when the bombs fell don't know the date because they were only children when it happened. Yeah. These are arguments that I've actually heard people say that because they were children, the children don't know the dates of stuff.
But there are like 40 and 50-year-old people there.
Because if they did know, it would ruin people's headcanon that they didn't try and get rid of New Vegas.
But my personal favorite has to be comparing it to the fall of Rome, like it was some sort of decline that happened in 22 72-77, right after the NCR won the first Battle of Hoover Dam, and while it was implied they were having hard times, it's worth remembering that the NCR was prepared to annex New Vegas as its 6th state, so even if that didn't happen and they dropped the nuke on the place where it all began, it doesn't really put the residents of New California Republic in danger, at least not all of them. Now, how can a post-apocalyptic superpower collapse after being around for centuries? This is truly the worst kind of circumstances to live in. Bombing its capital isn't going to revert them back to tribalism in 15 or so years. I do find it amazing that a low-ranking Brotherhood soldier bumps into 2 insane junkies and he can identify them as fiends.
Fiends. Should have known.
That just makes it so that the fiends somehow are still more relevant than a community that controlled most of California and its neighboring areas. This is all because of that one frame. If only they've paid attention to what happened during New Vegas, assuming they wanted to.
You know, Graham and Geneva wanted to blow up Shady Sands. The first time they bring that up, you're like, what do you want to do?
In other news, Lucy finds out they are good-natured vault dwellers. They try to help people who were subjects to forced experimentations, and they let them go.
What?
And as such, we have experienced another point in the story that was played for comedy, just like the things around the ghoul, who got captured by the government.
Destroying a legitimate business? That's illegal around these parts. Says who? The government.
What kind of government? What is that?
This is clearly right. The destruction of the NCR left a massive gap for them because they still want some sort of entity control the wasteland.
Yeah, but this is not the Republic of Dave.
Yeah, no, but this is one of those things where it's like, oh, these people are important and all this sort of stuff, and it's like, no, they're not. You wrote yourself into a corner because you still need some sort of officialdom to exist to give some legitimacy to like people's actions, and blew up the only one in the area, and you can't use the Brotherhood of Steel because you wanted to turn them into weirdos.
Yeah.
Because you think they're white. This is the issue with the writing. They want everything, but they can't. Like I say, they want it to be 2024 California, and 2024 California has a government, so they need some sort of.
So this is the California guy who has been building a railroad for $15 billion that don't lead anywhere.
But it's one of those things where it's just a bit like the whole thing with the show. It's done so often with things as well. Like every single show needs some sort of government legitimacy.
Yes.
Fight against the power. The only problem is they get rid of the damn thing straight away, and then they're stuck looking for something else. That's because that's all they care about. That's the only thing that gets them off these writers. Everything has to be fucking 2024 fucking California, and it's getting so apparent that is all they can write. And the problem is they don't want to have the NCR because the NCR is different to 2024 fucking California. So they got rid of it because Todd Howard doesn't like the NCR. Because it's like the thing is they mentioned the 6 agencies. It's like, who the fuck are the 6 agencies?
The clerics. They have decided your fate.
It's like, the 6 agencies have given that this bounty. Okay, name the 6 agencies. Oh, we're not going to. Right, because you need some sort of legitimacy for the ghoul to do this, but there isn't a legitimate government to do it. It's like there's no leader of Philly or something. I don't know. They've made like I put in that post up with everything. They've made everyone on the surface a fucking retard, and now they're like, actually, no, we need someone to be in charge somewhere. Like, yeah, well, you fucked up, didn't you?
I was hopeful that this would be in some way related to the NCR, or at least one of the bigger towns in this region, but it seems I'm the king of wishful thinking.
Look at you, 200 years. Maybe you just like the feeling of that good old California sunshine on your wrinkly ass face.
Oh, is that how easily he reattaches the finger? Good thing he can now dispatch all these goons.
Feed them to the hogs. God damn it.
You may rightfully ask what kind of purpose did this scene serve, other than another showcase of how incompetent everyone is around the ghoul.
I got one question for you, old buddy. Why do you have this picture? That's Moldaver. Why? That's not how I remember her at all.
You see, now that the ghoul has been captured and dragged to this place, he can't see what Moldaver looks like, because he does know who Moldaver is, just not with this hairstyle. And I would be really happy to not play this for a joke. Unfortunately, this is literally how the scene goes down.
I'm telling you now, man, this show is just single-handedly the worst thing until Dragon Age comes out. I'm just saying, this show, this is one of the most boring things I've ever had the misfortune of ever watching.
Indeed, I have almost forgotten. Every time we return to the ghoul, we see a flashback about Cooper. He meets Moldaver in the flesh. It's easy to forget these details when you're so deep in your sleep from the constant case of mystery boxes. But just so we can all be on the same page, let's see how he got acquainted with this crazy woman. Cooper met Moldaver through his connection, a connection he met through a friend who got invited to a birthday party. The friend who's making an obvious cameo because of a certain role he played in the past, as Mr. Volcano for the Volvic War commercial.
Hello, Tyrannosaurus Alan!
Cooper has been doing ads for Vault-Tec, partly because his wife works for Vault-Tec, and because of his fame as a movie star, a job he took on after coming back fighting the Chinese in Alaska. Would you believe that this is the context of these flashbacks for 7 episodes? Because it is! The rest is just Cooper being the everyman, a seasoned veteran trying to make sense of the changing world around him. A world so different it forgot what it was trying to portray. The show seemed to have forgotten which age it's in. In a world where McCarthyism never died, we see the same diversity as a 2024 show. Like, how about an Indian guy with a British accent as the movie director?
Which is why this movie is so important. Right. You see, it's a new kind of Western.
An East Asian guy as the spokesperson for West-Tec.
What about using a vault to develop a super mutant soldier using illegal immigrants?
And of course, the protagonist has a black wife.
Every night I was driving myself crazy, imagining the worst. So, you do not need to tell me how bad war is, Coop.
Yes, the world is exactly like 2024 California. I mean, how amazing is that?
I'm usually quite lenient when it comes to these casting choices. The problem here is the Fallout TV show is the sequel to the franchise, which only complicates this even further. In a world where they were so paranoid they put Asian Americans next to Chinese POWs, you are expecting me to believe they put this guy in a high position? Or maybe the people behind the show never gave a damn while meeting their diversity quotas.
When you think of the promise of the American dream, you think of California.
No, you don't. Jesus. Alright.
The best joke in the series so far.
When you think of the American dream, you think of rows and rows of homeless guys doing drugs. Shit literally in the streets. California. Oh.
These soldiers that we're fighting, their families, we have more in common with them than we do with the people here in power, the real enemy.
That's about all the horse shit I can take.
Sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
I said, this is about all the horse shit I can take. I have my principles, Miss Williams.
Principles of yours. How much did Vault-Tec pay to take them off your hands?
Well, this is America. Everybody has a sponsor, and I'm not ashamed to earn a living.
Vault-Tec is the largest company in America. There's a lot of money in selling the end of the world.
Well, I'm sure there's a lot of money in selling a political ideology that ends in breadlines. Okay.
A political ideology that ends in breadlines. That is correct. That's fascist. No, that's communism, actually.
That is communism, yes. Exactly.
People starve. That's accurate. So being called a fascist by a bunch of communists, that's
proving a point.
Really. Wow. Oh, good luck. I know we're trying to make out that Cooper's the bad guy here, but you can't make this. You can't. He's just like, this is America, we're just making a living. There's a lot of money in selling the end of the world. Oh, no, there isn't. It's just because the creators of this show don't understand how business works because they are communists. Right, so the communists, obviously, they agree with Moldaver. And the greatest thing ever is Moldaver's a communist, and she's part of the NCR, which is the least communist group of people ever. The North Citizens Republic of California. But I love the idea that, when the bombs drop, the communists will be the ones who survive. It's like they will literally jubber along.
We have so much common with the families of those people that are being deployed abroad. Really? They're probably starving to death right now.
But yeah, I just love that. There's ends and breadlines. It's like, there was evidence of it even in the Fallout world. Huh, fascist.
What is it?
It's a listening device.
You want me to spy on my wife?
I'm not a communist, Mr. Howard. That's just a dirty word they use to describe people who aren't insane.
They are insane. They're all insane. You literally called yourself a communist. What? It's just a dirty word. No, it's not a dirty word. It's just it's literally your political ideology. You're.
I'm not a communist.
Anyway, let's all sit around in our communist meeting. First meeting of the communists. This show is shit. What the fuck is this show? I keep asking what the hell this show is. This show doesn't even know what it is, line from line. I don't understand how anyone enjoyed this show.
It is a mystery. A mystery that will never be solved. The show also feels the need to reveal things to us that were rightfully in the shadows until now.
Oh shit, thank you.
You know I can find a radio tower? I have to make contact with my base.
It's near a town that used to be called Shady Sands.
This place is radioactive as hell.
Well, you don't have to worry about that anymore, do you, buddy boy?
Well, isn't that simply enchanting? Luckily, it seems he just so happens to find a radio station that plays the Minuteman music from Boston.
Thanks again for letting me use your radio. That was really nice.
Nah, no problem.
Why are they playing the Boston Minutemen? Why are they playing that music?
Why is Bill Gates in this show? Why is Bill Gates playing the Minuteman song?
The Minutemen only exist in
Boston.
The Commonwealth.
The Commonwealth, yeah. I know it's probably just another reference, but don't you love how most of these towards Fallout 4 and barely any about those 2 games that were about this area? The games where all of this bullshit originates from?
Oh, shit.
It also just so happens that Lucy and Max finally caught up with him.
We just want the head.
Okay, why am I not dead?
That is, I think you might be a ghoul.
So glad they changed how ghouls work.
So about the monologue about revealing too much. Would you like to know how people can turn into ghouls? More specifically, this type of ghoul that can regenerate.
Excuse me! Don't kill me. I'm a doctor. I can help you.
I've seen this condition before.
Someone stepped on my foot.
Yes, but you're in luck, because I've got the cure. This elixir heals all.
Does this work for smaller wounds? It can't be. The guy barely had his leg together. And then he drank this thing and it went back in its place. This is completely dumb. It looks more like a cartoon vampire. Thankfully, we no longer need to see this character again. Until season 2, I guess.
What are you doing?
They want a head, you give them a head. Find your dad.
I'm not leaving.
Trust me.
Maximus ultimately decides to buy Lucy some time by bringing a fake hat and shares a romantic scene with her.
You're my guiding light.
And that was almost everything until episode 8. I've left the events of Vault 33 for last because it doesn't add much to the overall story. Since Norm and Chad let Lucy out without the concept of the leadership, they got demoted.
It's a predicament, isn't it? You demote someone who equally dislikes every job he's ever worked.
But since Norm isn't good at anything, he gets a job of delivering food to the captured raiders. This only puts the leadership's intelligence to question, but don't worry, it does get much worse because the water chip broke down.
The water chip is destroyed. The vault only has enough water to keep our population alive for 2 months. And that's not accounting for the prisoners.
Okay, that's fine. That's enough.
Such a dire situation. Only 2 months left from the water supply. Surely there would be some measures taken to... No, they still waste water. And deliver Jello cake to the prisoners.
What are you looking at? A murderer in a cage, paying the price for what you did to us. For what you did to the innocent people in Vault 32.
I don't know what the people of Vault 32 were up to, but it was anything but innocent.
If the nonsense you have to endure with the main storyline wasn't enough, I really can't make out what is happening here. Why were they convinced that this would be appealing?
Given our recently dwindled numbers, the most ethical solution would be to rehabilitate the prisoners and then integrate them into our vault society.
They've made all the inhabitants look incredibly stupid so Norm can be the voice of reason. We're talking about things that any normal person would think of. Oh lord, is that why he's called Norm?
9/11 Airlines. What a terrible name for an airline. It reminds me of that tragedy.
So you spend your whole life in a bunker because of a nuclear fallout outside, and you just got attacked by a group of raiders who massacred your neighboring vault, or so you assume it to be. That would put certain things into question. Can they finally go outside? What happened to Vault 32? How did Moldaver and her group get in when it requires a Pip-Boy from said vault? None of this will be investigated. Right now it's more important that they elect a new overseer. The options are an obese guy was completely useless during the raid, another useless mouth breather, and an older woman who's overly cautious and suggests they should carry on with their lives as usual and take good care of their prisoners.
Murdering these prisoners of ours is not under serious consideration.
This might be one of the most retarded control vaults in Fallout, so it's to no one's surprise that Norm is the only person who thought about removing the rubble to Vault 32 and checking out what actually went down there.
You see, whatever happened here happened a long time ago.
They were already dead. I mean, it looks like they strangled each other.
It was 2 years ago.
They do find out that the inhabitants have been dead for 2 years. What could have happened? How come no one knew this? Those questions will not be answered.
They probably opened the door and welcomed the raiders right in.
It says it was open from the outside.
They need a pit boy to open the door.
They had one. Mom's.
We do see some messages that they have left behind, like death to the management, and we know what's behind Vault 31. One of the corpses still has a blowtorch in its hands. How can you die in a pose like that?
They were trying to get into 31, but why?
All I know is we're leaving.
Anyway, they come back and hold an election, redistribute the inhabitants of Vault 33 to 32, which will only further divide the already small population of 33, but whatever.
That's not how... Wow. This show does not know how pregnant women act. This show has no idea how a pregnant woman is.
And Norm finally starts questioning what is behind 31. Seemingly all the overseers are from there, a small fact that no one seemed to have questioned for over 2 centuries.
How's Vault 31 different from here?
What did your dad tell you?
Not much, actually.
Gee, I don't know. Maybe the mashed potatoes were a little better?
And that's why it's bothering me how some claim Norm is a great character. He really isn't. Just like his sister, he's painfully average, but he's locked up with extremely dumb people, which makes him stand out, despite his stature. In the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. Or woman? Steph is also someone who expresses her dislike towards the murderers, but doesn't do much with this information. For now. The better question is, does Norm challenge the leadership, or are they already mentally challenged? They suggest the raiders should be integrated into Vault 33, because laying them out will endanger themselves.
There is a utensil.
Eat your fucking heart! Right your fucking hand!
They do know the location, and they are also afraid of that the radiation can leak into the vault itself. As a response, Norm bluntly suggests they should kill the raiders.
They have intimate knowledge of our vault security. So what do you propose we do?
We can do what they would have done to us.
Wow. Jeez Louise, Norm.
In a normal setup, this would be crossing the line, but in this situation where you have dozens of bloodthirsty, irradiated monsters who are quite honest about their intentions to kill every single inhabitant once they are allowed, doesn't sound as bad. Also, does anyone remember the children? We had a single scene of them when Lucy was holding a lesson in her introduction, but afterwards, they have all vanished. Did the raiders kill all of them? I know it's a hassle to include them in every scene, but they don't even appear in the background. I don't even know if the creators realized how sinister this exclusion could be perceived as. And let's not forget about this gem.
The water chip is destroyed.
Man, if only there was another vault that's completely empty where one could salvage a part like that. The point is, the leadership doesn't care about this. So much so they don't mention it again. It's just a throwaway line.
Young Norm was just expressing a feeling.
I'm sorry, you're right. It was not my intention to question your leadership, Overseer.
Thank you.
As you can see, Norm obviously wins this argument because it's the equivalent of a professional boxer taking a group of children. You need to make a contrast between these two to make one more appealing to logic. Unfortunately, this is done through dumbing down the others to the point that Norm is merely offering the common sense approach.
The young man Woody interrogated this morning, he left an impression on me.
That is the gentleman who showed me his butthole.
What I took from that is a desire to communicate.
All in all, the inhabitants of 33 are painfully incompetent. But can Lucy's adventure break this curse? Can her adventure salvage the show? No, not at all. So Maximus is stalling for Lucy and has to face his punishment.
No artifact, my lord.
Wait, I can get you the real head. I can help you! Please, my lord, my injury was my own doing, not his.
Or not.
Such a display of loyalty.
And instead of the punishment, Max gets away with it during a one-on-one with the Elder.
How did Titus die?
He died running.
The Brotherhood has lost its way.
This is unbelievable. I'm not kidding when I say this, we almost fell asleep this part.
And yet power is taken, not given. The lesson you seem to have learned.
Oh, Jesus Christ, no. No, I'm done. I'm fucking done with this character. No, bullshit. This is bullshit. No.
We will start a new Brotherhood with me as its head and the likes of you as its sword.
If I sound really uninterested, it's because I am actually completely uninterested in this show anymore.
Well,
I just
blame you.
I just listened to a man make up Brotherhood lore that doesn't even fit with the fucking lore of the even Fallout 4 game.
I don't want to cover this shitty story anymore. So after an exhausting journey, Lucy has finally arrived at her destination.
Speaking of Cameron Mitchell, this is literally what Cameron Mitchell turned in.
Yes. Close those fucking doors!
Like a Tom's festival.
She delivered the head, Moldaver has the MacGuffin, so it would only be natural that she leaves with her dad and not even listen to this woman who butchered her vault, giving her a 5-minute monologue on why the person he risked everything for is actually part of an evil organization.
What if I tell you how I know your father? Who he really is?
Now don't get me wrong, Vault-Tec is evil, and the story makes this quite clear, but at this point, Lucy still maintains the same mentality she had at the beginning of the story. Even here, she chose a more diplomatic approach, thinking Moldaver would honor her word. The same person that almost killed half of your vault.
No, don't listen to
You think your father was born in a vault, like you?
And suddenly we're back where we left off in Vault 33. Norm sneaks into 31 and it seems he was smart enough to fool the Overseer to open the door for him, who appears to be a brain in a jar that looks like one of those robot sweepers.
You're not Betty or Hank.
His son?
No. What are you? Initiate Protocol 53. Alright, just hold still.
It makes it even more laughable that he got stuck in a corner. And the US military had robo-brains. Why would you use such a downgrade? Why did I think about the real Fallout when I watching this garbage?
This secret must be guarded. Don't go in there. Wait, just...
Is this where my dad's from?
These are Bud's buds.
And the big secret of 31 is? Hibernated Vault-Tec managers.
Kept Vault-Tec alive, a well-trained staff of highly supervised junior executives, my own training program, because the future of humanity comes down to one word: management.
And the brain is the same asshole from the flashbacks.
The one word: management.
This show's so boring.
No wonder all of these people are inept. This got me thinking that maybe the story is trying to paint Vault-Tec as the diabolically evil, yet incredibly incompetent organization.
I really like the fact that Vault 111 was a prototype of cryogenics and the only Vault that have it.
Yeah.
And now Vault 33 has it.
And you know, if they had stopped here, I would have said, okay, this was a really bad setup. Bottom feeders for the Enclave decide to hibernate themselves and control the population of an interconnected vault system to breed supermanagers. Yet they have only shown how vulnerable they are without proper leadership. And this is also seen in the flashbacks, albeit it comes off way worse. So Cooper received a listening device from Moldaver because his wife is coming up with measures they will have to take once they are in the vault. One of them is not having dogs. So he bugs his wife's Pip-Boy to listen in to the secret meeting.
Like-minded corporations that make America great.
On behalf of everyone here at Vault-Tec, welcome.
So who the hell are those people that are sitting above them?
Supposedly, from what I've been told, they're the actual secret organ. They're the Enclave.
I hope so.
Our vaults have the resources to survive for centuries. Meanwhile, our competitors, every other human who isn't us, will be dead on the surface. What is the ultimate weapon of mass destruction?
Time.
Time. That is how we will win the great game of capitalism.
By outliving them.
The whole scene is proof that the creators don't understand how business works. Because you can't just wipe out the world and have a business. What does Vault 33 do? There's nothing. It literally provides nothing to Vault-Tec.
They're our breeding pool, genetically selected to breed with my buds to create a class of super managers.
This show has decided to double down into the worst plot twist imaginable. If you thought this was already pushing it, wait till you hear their grand plan.
People who will inherit the Earth after we've wiped the surface clean.
We wiped the surface clean.
But if you don't have people on the surface and your human resources, then...
And if, we'll just keep nuking the surface as other people who, are successful. Like, how are they expecting 80 people to conquer the world?
This reminds me of that scene from Monty Python when they send in the Trojan rabbit. So we're gonna wipe out humanity, and then 200 years later, we're gonna resurface.
It's not even 200 years later. It's just like whenever we feel like.
Whenever we feel like.
Whenever we feel like resurfacing, we're gonna invade the surface with a fat black woman, a fat black guy, and a bunch of mentally retarded people who don't understand how to even use basic weaponry. Okay, how's that going to work? Well, we'll just keep nuking everything constantly. Cool. Excellent. This is their big idea. They brainstormed about this fucking thing and the best they could do for their big twist was, I'm going to breed managers.
There's a lot of earning potential with the end of the world, but we're talking about making a significant investment. How can you guarantee results?
By dropping the bomb ourselves.
Yeah, Yeah, but it didn't mean that they actually dropped the bomb, you know. They just do it. People who defend this show are fucking retarded, like every human on this show.
At least, like, Netflix Cowboy Bebop was funny.
Yeah, that was just, like, it was so bad. It was like embarrassingly so. Like, they put, like, with a Netflix Bebop, you had the actor of Jet actually put a performance in, but he was so bad.
Yes, Vault-Tec came up with the idea to nuke the United States of America in the midst of a war with China, where they were already under threat of being destroyed by nukes. It's absolutely insane.
A nuclear event would be a tragedy, but also an opportunity. Perhaps the greatest opportunity in history.
From what? A nuclear event would be a tragedy, but also an opportunity. No, it wouldn't. Not how nuclear events happen. It is we are getting to the point where we don't understand how the world works. And in fact, it's going to be great if we just have 18 managers.
And genetically inferior people.
Guy with one eye.
Because when we are the only ones left, there will be no one to fight.
No, that's not how that works. You could literally make... Look, you know what I'm going to refer to? Team Fortress 2. As long as there's 2 people left on the planet, somebody will want somebody else dead. Can't believe I'm having to explain it. Like, you could have nobody. Well, you could have 2 people on the planet, and they will still kill each other.
The unity will bring about the master race. As long as there are differences, we will tear ourselves apart fighting each other.
Why is to say that there's not gonna be any infighting between Vault-Tec employees?
There's already infighting between Norm and Vault-Tec already.
Yeah.
They're now wanting to cause the war to happen so that they can end the war. Plot doesn't make sense because they did not write enough. People who wrote the series are fucking idiots.
Not to mention, this is so bad, one of the original creators of Fallout was left speechless when someone brought up there being a debate who would drop the bombs first.
Bio weapons were illegal, and somehow China found out we were doing FEV. And they're like, you have to stop it. And we went, okay. And all we did is move it. All we did is move it over.
Earth-shattering, what you just said.
Really? Is that stuff people don't know?
Well, people actually debate over who shot first. Like a
they do?
solo thing.
Oh, well, then I don't know. Who knows?
This is such a simple fact about the universe that these superpowers destroyed each other.
We were winning too. And then those damn Reds launched. We barely got our birds up. But at least it knocked the damn Red Menace back into the Stone Age.
But we gotta go beyond that. How can we top things that came before this parasite? Why not just change a core element of the story? Destroy the foundation of this franchise?
This is our chance to make war obsolete. We have conflict. And we have war. And war never changes.
Oh, so that's why they chose to be complete sheep in Vault 33. Truly a magnificent achievement in human psychology. They kill all the people so they won't have to kill more. How did that work out for you in Vault 32? Realize what's up and somehow the inhabitants are now dead. And once you got attacked by a mediocre bunch of raiders from outside, you lose about half your inhabitants from a breeding pool that you specifically handpicked to breed super managers so they won't think of starting any more conflicts. Has entirely backfired when Norm, who's part of the program, has come to a conclusion that you have to compromise those lives in order to save others. What a fucking embarrassment. And these are the villains? That's the hole. That hole right there, that is Shady Sands.
So that massive city around it.
Around it, like it looks fine.
Yeah, 30,000 people live in that very small hole.
Mr. Howard, huge fan. Henry, but everyone calls me Hank.
He never told you where he's really from, when he's from.
After all this, there's no doubt Lucy was convinced. But keep in mind, this is coming from the villain of this story. I mean, the one from the first episode.
He never told your mother either.
What do you know about my mother?
She was like you. Isn't that why you came to the surface, really? Partly to rescue your father, but to know why I took him. Rose was so clever.
Oh, I'm sure she was. Oh, she's so clever. She's a woman. No.
Like you.
Why is it always the same fucking flashback of her mother? Does she have any memories of her mother beyond that? Because
no, none. This is the only scene.
She's not like a 2-year-old.
She realized that her husband was hiding things.
Leslie, let's go. Let's get out of here.
So she ran away, and when she decided not to return home, he took the children, and he burned that city to the ground. All I need is for him to give me the code.
Lucy! Look at me!
My mother, what happened to her? I think you know.
She could actually be lying at this scene. She is a communist who lives in a capitalist nation and wants it back. The plot switch is amazing, by the way. Happening literally in the last episode.
Give her the code. Give her the code, Dad.
Merely a few days ago, she was the absolute worst person you can encounter at none other than your own wedding. And now, because of a tall tale about something that happened over 200 years ago, but whatever, she can give a short speech about Vault-Tec and showing a zombie with a pendant, and that takes care of everything. It's finally here. The biggest action sequence of the show. The Brotherhood of Steel versus Moldaver's gang of... What? New California Republic? This is honestly the worst decision. Relocating Shady Sands, the capital of the NCR, from a couple of hundred miles away is one thing, but putting Moldaver as the leader of such gang is retarded. I was desperately trying to find excuses in my head for this kind of writing, because this is too much to accept. Maybe it's just a leftover from the time it belonged to the NCR. Surely they wouldn't carry the flag too. Oh, come on.
I like how they fight with flags. They never do that in the game. I also like the fact that they just go straight to melee. That's not how they fight battles.
They are the NCR, which means this is all that is left of it. Along with the survivors in Vault 4, of course, who are insane. This would suggest the Reyes from episode 1 are probably former NCR citizens as well. They knew something was up with 32. The guy Lucy was supposed to marry had high radiation levels, maybe from the bomb, and they followed Moldaver's lead. To literally no one's surprise, the Brotherhood easily gets through the NCR remnant, until the unsmooth skin shows up with another magic trick.
I bet that outfit makes y'all feel like a big man, don't it?
They should be shooting. Shoot him, just shoot him.
Shoot him
or something.
I know, cause I used to wear one back in the day. There was a flaw in the welding just below the chest plate.
Shoot him.
I wonder if they fix that in this new model. I guess not.
Can't think of a scene where this would have been a lot more useful.
Or even if a duck, bullets don't hurt them.
Don't they have flashlights?
Yeah, they have flashlights. They also have, I think they have night vision on certain things.
Honestly, I have no words. This is such a stupid scene. You're telling me it's been over 200 years and the Brotherhood still hasn't fixed something this severe? The Brotherhood of Steel isn't a self-insert for Bethesda.
Oh my god, this scene's just dragging. This whole thing's dragging.
Right, so he wins.
Open the door, Lucy. Let's go. Let's go.
All Hank can do is use failed speech checks in an attempt to deny any involvement. Well, that worked out somehow. Max runs away and reunites with Lucy, and since Lucy got stuck in an event loop to stay completely accurate to the Bethesda game, Max decided to listen to Hank and let him out from his cage.
Let's go. Come on.
No, not with him.
Why not with him? What do you mean?
It was him. Shady Sands.
You're coming with me.
You know what? I kinda like Hank now.
Max.
You see what this place does to people? I'm your father, Lucy. You're not gonna hurt me.
Oh no, not again.
You want another autograph, young Henry? Hell, this kid used to pick up my wife's dry cleaner. One question. Where's my fucking family?
Well, he pissed off.
You let him go.
Well, it's easier to track a stuck pig than to ask it where it's off to. War never changes. You coming?
And we got all our main characters in the same room, but one of them is unconscious. So what I said about them not interacting with each other is true, from a certain point of view.
Lucy.
The light bulbs that can survive over 200 years.
Obviously people are living there to replace them.
What do you suppose your Brotherhood would do with infinite power? Maybe you can stop them, maybe you can't.
And she's dead.
Well, I'm very glad that character existed to do nothing but be a guild boss until... I'm going to tell you exactly how next season's going to go. It's going to be 5 minutes in New Vegas, then they're going to go somewhere else, and then it's going to have nothing to do with anything Fallout at all, and it's just going to be fucking gay communist. LGBT shit. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. It's going to be the exact same shit as it always is. These shows are not made for like the IPs. They are skin suits for political propaganda. They are there to bore you into just watching the episodes.
I really don't know like what is the value in these episodes.
I don't know what the point of this entire series is. Also, they don't explain how she's lived for 200 years and isn't a ghoul.
They are not explaining any of that.
Is that their leader? You killed her. No.
All hail Maximus! That shall be night hereafter! All hail Maximus!
And out of nowhere, she has the audacity to declare Maximus to be promoted to the rank of knight. The person who got promoted to squire and did self-harm in less than a day because she was too cowardly. Why is she still part of the Brotherhood?
This show is just crap, Mark. I've struggled. Like, look at Lucy's character growth. So she starts off as a naive child. She goes into the wasteland as a naive child until episode 8. Then at the end of episode 8, she decides to no longer be a naive child and just believe everything the first woman says to her.
The woman who murdered a bunch of fellow neighbors that she had. And she's a 6-year-old child but doesn't remember that she met her mommy on the surface.
She has no memories of her mum beyond one single...
Neither does the brother.
Maximus just gets given everything for being the worst person who's ever existed in media. And the ghoul might as well never have been part of the show. Take him away, what gets lost? I've just given up completely with the whole fucking thing because Fallout's a dead franchise again. It's like with Dragon Age, it's a dead franchise. Yeah. Fallout's a dead franchise. There's more and more franchises that I'm just like, yeah, whatever. After watching it, I realised that everyone who liked it was a lying piece of shit. I'm sorry. There's no way you can defend this. I've given up arguing with people online about this sort of stuff because I'm dealing with people who aren't living in the real world. Especially, I started playing Red Dead halfway through that last episode.
The biggest difference I found between this and the Bebop adaptation is that this is when a more competent studio tries to tear apart a project. Fallout has a lot of normie appeal, and frankly, Bethesda is the kind of studio that knows how to capitalize the IP. As for me, I really don't care about the sequel. It will definitely have a second season, or even a third one. They certainly can't get away with killing off everything forever. Because what they have done to the west coast of Fallout isn't far from total annihilation. There's just not a single reference to the originals. It's so bleak.
Guy was fucking my chickens.
Okay.